everyone. My name's Olive Gearlitio. Welcome to Powordful Conversations. Be transformed by Olive. The show that's going to help you to evolve. Yes, both spiritually. I know you're thinking, oh, yes, but I'm going to tap into, because the whole idea of your perception and changes occurring in terms of transformation, you have to tap deep down within you. It doesn't just happen on the surface. So there's a lot of that's going on. So, Powordful Conversations. My guest today is a wonderful person that's been in business for 25 years. And yes, 25 years in business, wealth of experience, worked and acted, I should say, for organizations such as AOL, BP, HSBC, and pardon me, I have to look up, I have to think, because this woman has a lot of wealth of experience. The segment today is business evolution, and you can't imagine the person to talk about that who's also owned her own restaurant, dare I say, is Janice B. Gordon. Janice, welcome to
It's
Powordful
lovely to be here. Lovely
Good.
to be at Powordful Conversations.
I hope you liked that powerful introduction.
I'm really inspired and motivated, ready to go.
Yes, it's a key thing, and I just want to just share that the idea of this show is to invite people on that's going to help me on this journey of transformation. You know, as a transformational coach, as somebody that goes into organizations that helps equally those in leadership to change their perception. Do you know, it's a key thing. So I just love the idea that you're on this journey with me equally, Janice. So welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. So I want to just delve in and talk about your book, which happens to be Business Evolution. And I purposely decided to keep that title for this segment because it's all about us evolving. So I wanted to find out equally and share that first of all, because everybody starts off from somewhere. I don't want people to just think that it just landed.
It just evolved.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to find out equally how it all started, Janice.
Yes. Well, it started at a very young age. I used to go to all dayers, love music. And I used to go on to Leicester Market and buy cheap fabric, never wash it, all the dye comes out.
Yes.
So all these vibrant colours, I love colour.
Yes.
And make these outfits, go to the all dayers. People used to think, oh my God, where did she get that from? And get orders.
Yes.
And then the next month I'd make all my orders and come up with a whole new outfit and get more orders. Now, I didn't realise I was being entrepreneurial. I really was just using my skill I had a passion for. I wanted something that no one else had, so I had to create it myself. And it was much later that I went into formal education to learn about business. I was interested in business, the two things really came together.
Oh, super. So how much of your experience have you actually put in this book? Because I have read the book, and what I love, because I won't invite anybody if I haven't read their book, because that's part of me getting to know a bit more about the person. How much, because there's a process. I equally have a process that I use, but you've got a process and you need to buy the book so you can find out what this process I'm talking about. But just to share a little bit, the process you mentioned, and part of it is personality. Now, some people start a business and it doesn't kind of suit their personality. They've gone into the business just because somebody else is doing it. So if somebody else is selling jewelry and they say, how much are they making? Really? Oh, I could sell jewelry. So how important is it to bring one of the process that you mentioned, personality, into your business?
It's absolutely critical. It's part of the essential 4 Ps, and I developed this process. I've got a Cranfield MBA.
Yes.
I've, as you said, done a startup restaurant and bar and various other businesses, and advised businesses. And I've discovered that you've got the theory, and in practice it's actually quite different. And because the world has evolved, it's moved on, social media, the internet, technology is so important in business. There are certain things that I think are pretty essential. And personality is one of them. It used to be what you knew. and who you knew in business. Now it's who you are. What do you stand for? And so your question about people following fashion, and I call it the Me Too business. If they can do it, I can do it too.
Exactly.
It must be really easy. It must be really easy. So they haven't really got a passion for it, but they want to make some money. They think someone else is making money and they want to Me Too.
Yes.
And that's the wrong reason to go into business, because, you know, let's face it, business is hard. It's really difficult. It looks easy on the outside, but it isn't easy. If you haven't got a real passion to actually share what you're doing, if you haven't got a real burning reason why you have to do it, it's really difficult to stay the course. So that's really important. And personality, you're giving yourself. And so you really need to understand who you are. You know, what do you stand for? What are your values? These are the things that people attach themselves. They say, oh, I really like her. And actually what they're saying is, I share something with you. I see something in you that I see in myself. We share some values, and they are your customers. And so, you know, there's no point just jumping into a business and not really having that connection with it. You're never going to be in your flow, and it's always going to be difficult. So your personality is really about you, what you stand for, what your values are, and matching that up to the thing that you need to do, you're compelled to do.
Those words, that they're just resonating with me, because this is very much part of why Powordful Conversations is so important, because that is having effective communication. And I just love when you mention about value, you mention about passion, because equally what drives that motivational factor, that inspiration you get, something triggers it, and part of that is got to be passion. And when that passion is at a stalemate, you know, then the motivation isn't there. But equally, I love the fact that the value aspect in it, because some of us are in business and we've lost the whole concept of why we're in business, and equally that value, it's not there. You know, the value is a bit, I don't know if you would agree with me, where value is your belief, what you put into it.
Absolutely.
Because equally, I don't want to think that I'm doing things that are unethical, you know, because for me, it's so important for that. You know, it's really important to be in business doing all that.
And I think you're absolutely right. If what you're doing stems from your core values, you always know what to do, because you're actually saying, is this right for me? You're in your flow. And I do meet lots of entrepreneurs that have lost their way. They don't know who they go to, this guru, that guru, they learn a bit of this, bit of that, and they've got so much information, they get lost in all of that. They don't know who they are and what they're supposed to do. You've met people like this
lost
as well.
In translation.
Exactly. And really, you know, what I say to them, let's clear that out. That's not important. I want to find out about you. What are your values? What's important to you? What do you want to say to the world? What's your purpose? Why are you here? Why do you have to do this business? What's your piece? What's your story?
What's your
exactly.
Not somebody else's.
Not somebody else's. You can't tell someone else's story. I don't know where that's going. I only know where I'm going. And you know, you need to find out where you're going, what path you need to be on, what your story is. And so it's really, it stems from you. This is what I've written about in Business Evolution. Your business stems from you.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to find out, in actual fact now, how much of your personality is in that book.
Absolutely. It's all my personality. Some of the quirky things that I say, it's my sense of humour, it's the way I see things. People have said to me, it's like, Janice, you're in the room talking to me, telling me, you know, whatever. So it's my language. And it starts off with actually my story, because I say your story is really important. So I tell you, what was the inspiration for me being motivated to write this and want to share it? You know, stuff happens in life, and it's really about how you get back up and what you need and you know, to get back on your path. I actually, through adversity, found my path and absolutely completely compelled to do what I do because I'm on my path, I'm in my flow.
Yes.
And I really wanted to share that with other people. So absolutely, the inspiration for the book, and also a lot of the insights in the book, are my personal stories and my personal insights really from my life.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Powordful Conversations, Be Transformed by Olive and her guest. And my wonderful guest today is Janice B. Gordon. Welcome back to Powordful Conversations, Be Transformed by Olive and her guest today, which happens to be Janice B. Gordon. And we're talking about business evolution. So I want to then ask a few more questions for those out there that have their own micro or medium-sized business, because this is what Janice actually concentrates on, and that I want to get some additional tips of ways that we could evolve our business. Yeah, so ways that we could attract those, when we're in our flow, mind you, those customers, and Janice would be able to help us there. So Janice, what other tools can you sort of share with the audience? Just a little bit perhaps on your book, or from based on your experience, that you could share in helping us to evolve, those of us that have micro businesses and we're kind of feeling a bit stuck.
Right. Well, that's typical of many micro businesses, SMEs. You get to a point where you're so overwhelmed working in the business, it's very difficult to kind of get your head above water, to really kind of analyse, is this the right thing for me? If I do this, will this give me that outcome? Sometimes we're just doing and not actually thinking about what the outcome's going to be. So, we talked a bit about personality, but the other thing is, your purpose as well. What business are you in? What compels you to do it? What can you do that no one else can do in the way you do it?
Yes.
This is all about how you do it, what your values are. And then pleasure. I love this pleasure. What's your pleasure, sir or madam? How can I serve you? And it's really about thinking about how you are going to serve your customer. What is it about in your values and your purpose that you're going to do different? How are you going to deliver that product or service? And it's really about understanding the people with similar values, why they're attracted to you, and how you can attract more of those customers. What's how can you communicate with them? What's the language of those customers?
Yes.
No one's interested in you in business, let's face it. It's not about you. It's all about your customer. And a lot of people in business forget that.
Yeah.
They say, I want to do this, I want to do that. I. No one's interested.
Yes.
Get yourself out of the business. If you want to make money, it's the customers that come to you that give you money.
Yes.
And so it's the customer that's important, not you.
Yes.
So you really need to understand how to communicate with them. What's the language? What's the words they use? Not you, them. And the same with process as well. You may understand the process, but if it's completely illogical to your customer, if you put up blocks and barriers, they can't click and get to where they want to do, they can't pay you, they can't you don't answer the phone, or you don't tell them how, you don't give them a call to action, they don't know how to get it, you're not going to do business, are you? So it's really about understanding not only you in your business, but also your customers, and communicating in the process. So it's really important to get those things straight. Okay, all the theory around business is really important, but this is why it's the essential 4 Ps. Really important to understand these things.
Yeah, I like that, because as you were saying that, my mind was going on those that actually, again, do something because somebody else, it's the trend, somebody else is doing that. So the passion is not really there because you're seeing it in the eyes of somebody else that is so passionate about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so those things are in essence barriers. And I often go into some shops and I think, you shouldn't be in this business if you can't. It's like you phone up some of these call center, these organizations, the people at the other end do not represent you properly. You can't have a restaurant and I've been to a restaurant and somebody was actually, they weren't feeling well and their head was down on the table in the restaurant. I just couldn't believe it, because that is not serving me as a customer. It's not.
How often?
It's not a camping site.
Absolutely.
It's not a sort of come in and have a rest. So I was really surprised that could go on. So things like this, when you don't get customers coming in, personalities kind of at a stalemate. should I say?
Yeah, this is what I call
purpose is
absolutely. You're right. Me Too
things.
businesses. People are making money. You think it's easy. Let me jump on that one, but they've got no connection really with the business. They just want to make money, and it's all about them. So the focus is all wrong. So
and the value.
And there's a woman that runs a big business, and she is the worst customer service person. Absolutely, and it makes you wonder, why is she in business? She's rude, and we meet people like that all the time, and it makes you wonder, why are they in business? And you're not going to continue to make money unless you match up. You're in your flow.
Exactly.
You match up your personality, and you've got the passion for what you're doing. And it's not about you, and you really want to share it more, bring in more customers.
That element that's about you is perhaps where you bring in your personality. There's no point as an example, if you're one of those, if somebody's communicating with you, oh, I'm so tired, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's being aware of all this. And I love, because all this, for your flow, for you to be in flow, there has to be that passion, because that is like a motivational thing. Yeah, that's motivating you to get up and go and so forth. And when you're in the flow and you have that passion, people actually feel it. Yeah. Communication, whether it's non-verbal or verbal, they actually, that energy is, energy does flow.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
So that's a real.
And they want to tap into that. You're portraying the energy that they've got, and they love that. You're feeding off one another. It's not draining you. You're feeding off one another, and that's why it's important to get in your flow, and everything you need will start to be attracted to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So as we're talking about business evolution with my guest Janice B. Gordon, and all the sorts of things that we're mentioning, we're talking about value. I mean, that's so important. Value, we're talking about your personality in your business, your purpose, all these key factors that actually makes you and your business whole, so that you're able to flow with that sort of energy that will attract those customers that all of a sudden have stopped coming, etc. So what would your final message be to those listeners out there that are tuned in to us to get some key pointers? And you've given a lot about the process, so you need to go and read that book and know, because she gives some wonderful examples. So what would be your final message to those that have tuned in and listening to us?
I think one of the things I talk about, what business you're in, what can you do that no one else can do in the way you do it, and that stops you from being the Me Too business. And I think it's also matching up your energy level with the business, with your the customers in your business. So it's really about almost taking a step back and doing a little bit of contemplation, not just jumping in there, but really being clear about what's your space, what's your path, what's your goals in business, what's the outcomes. Really, rather than jumping in, is just thinking first and putting all of those plans in place and putting the right tools in place, so that gives you every success in your business. You're going to face obstacles, but if you're clear about you're on your path, if you're clear about why you're compelled to do it, why you're doing it, what you're passionate about, what your purpose is, what you're trying to achieve, it becomes so much easier.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And that's it, folks. Powordful Conversations, be transformed by Olive and guests. So, Janice, would you be able to share with us what your story is? Because we talked about business, we're talking about business evolution. Nonetheless, how did you evolve to get to this stage? Because quite often people, how do you know about this? I said 25 years. Not just simply the fact of your MBA. Nonetheless, there's also the African experience. Because I remember you mentioned about canoeing at one stage, and there's a story about that, and hippos.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm afraid you're going to have to read the book to find my hippo story. No, do you know everything? One thing I want to say, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything you do in life is leading you to another bit.
Yes.
And you realise maybe when you're going through difficulties, you may not realise that actually it's there to teach you something.
Yes.
And so everything you do is to move you on.
Yes.
So, there are challenges you're going to come across, as I did, and you'll read about some of them in the book.
Yes.
So how did I evolve? Well, I did one thing. I remember working for a construction business and setting it all up, all of the operational sides, the accounting, and all the health and safety. Lo and behold, a few years later, I set up a restaurant and bar. We were the best at the health and safety that I learnt there, and I used the accounting. So everything you do is all the skills you need to take you on to another stage that you're going to do. Nothing is ever lost. So, it's really about recognising that, even in the difficulties, I've learnt more from the negative things that have happened than I have from the positive things. It's that you need a balance, but I have evolved, and I really wanted to share with people that we're evolving all the time. And everything that you pick up, you take with you. But also, you need to leave your baggage behind. You need to, if you want to be in flow, you have to have that and leave your baggage behind. So it's knowing what things you can learn, your lessons that you take forward, your baggage you leave behind.
Yes.
And so it's really about understanding that in order to the momentum to keep moving forward. So I talk a lot about that, my lessons in life, and hope that other people are able to learn from that, but also to look in themselves and look at their lessons and look at the things that they've learned and recognise that's the positive things that they need to take forward. There's a reason why you're there. I believe we're meant to be exactly where we are in any moment in time. Any moment in time. So it's about kind of taking that momentum and moving forward.
And on the topic, thank you for sharing that. On the topic of baggage, whilst you were talking, what sprung to mind was baggage in terms of leaving it behind. Fair enough. If you're thinking you are going on holiday, you're trying to stuff all those clothes in. Not all the clothes could fit into that baggage. So what you need to do is take some out. So the fact that some of that baggage we leave behind, let's use it in a positive way, churn it around, because the baggage in essence is like a stepping, it's helping to take you, to move you forwards. Once we recognize that, like you said, some of the things that you mentioned about recognizing more so the negative, as opposed to those positive. So if we turn it around in terms of those baggages, yes, leave them behind, but use them wisely, rather than, because some people sort of want to bury all their bag. In essence, sometimes you can't, because you have to deal with it. Yeah.
Do you know one thing I love? The here and now. And one of the things I talk about is the here and now, and that's the important space you're in, and it's about being present.
Yes.
It's about being present 100% of the time, so you don't miss anything.
Yes.
So things in the past, if it's in the past and you can't do anything about it, then it's in the past. And it doesn't mean that anything's buried.
Yes.
Because it's really about, is this serving me?
Yes.
Is this important
Point of
to me?
reference.
Exactly.
Yes.
If I'm taking these things forward because this is what I need to go forward.
Yes.
But if it's not serving me, then it's
negative, and
it's nothing I can change. Then it's gone.
Yes.
That time has spent. You can't use it again.
Yes.
So leave it.
Yes.
Sometimes we keep going over and over and over things. Really, it's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
It's a complete. So there's all absolutely leave
accepting it.
You've
That's
got
the key.
Yes, exactly. You've got to be. You've got to take responsibility.
Yes.
We're not always going to be perfect.
Yes.
We're not always going to be right. Take Do you know the thing that I learned that I really wanted to share in the book is once you take responsibilities for your failures, your mistakes, anything like that, it's gone. It's suddenly off your shoulders.
Do you know why that is? Because it's element of it's taking responsibility is accepting.
Yeah.
Once you accept is like, whoa, you can breathe.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to read my book.
Yeah. But so many people hang on. I'm not going to admit my mistakes. I'm not going to say sorry. I'm not going to, and you think if you just did it, it's gone. It's like,
But with sincerity.
Absolutely.
Because acceptance
you've
involves
got to,
the truth.
Exactly.
And the truth involves sincerity.
So many people are afraid of the truth, of facing it themselves. Once you look at it,
with it.
Hard and cold, you've got to look at it hard and cold. Say, look, I made a mistake here. I'm sorry to whoever I need to be sorry for.
Yes.
Then you close that book and it's gone.
Yes. Until next week, I am so looking forward to having these conversations. We have so much to learn, and we're talking about evolving whichever way, in our personality, evolving in our career, evolving in our business. This is what we're talking about today.